Hey YouTube, what's going on? This is Super Fanboy Guy again with another Versus System deck profile. In this deck, we have the Dark Knight and the Man of Steel himself teaming up together to have one amazing deck, I guess. I don't know anything else to say about it, but yes, it is Gotham Knights and Team Superman, also known as the world's finest deck. Now, if some of you saw my stream from July, my buddy Alessandro played this deck. And this is the version of the deck that we kind of built for him. It's probably not a typical build that you see for other World's Finest decks, but there's a little spice to the deck that he really likes, and there's some changes that we can kind of improve on this deck. But for the time being, I'm just going to talk about the deck that he plays, and I also want to mention that this is the last deck that I'll be talking about that was on our stream. So going forward after this deck profile, we're going to be coming up with new decks that, haven't seen on the channel yet. So we have a bunch of great decks, so I hope you folks are able to stay tuned for that in the future. But anyway, let's kind of just go over the basic strategy of the deck. Gotham Knights are well known for having plot twists that negate other non-ongoing plot twists from your opponent. And that's been kind of a theme that they have, and they have other plot twists that kind of have different functions. But in this deck, we have plot twists that, affect if you control a Batman or a Superman in particular. So we're going to kind of go over all the cards just like what we do in the other videos. And I think we're just going to kind of go from there and we'll just talk about more details about the deck. And the other thing I also wanted to mention in this deck is we will be having multiple iterations of this deck in the future. So this is just starting with one build that we're going to talk about. But make sure to also stay tuned for other versions of the Team Superman and Gotham Knights World's Finest deck. I know I personally have a deck of mine that I will be doing a deck profile in the future. But I guess that's all I have to say for now, so let's just go straight into the deck. Okay, so starting off with the one-cost characters, we run 4 copies of Alfred Pennyworth, Faithful Friend, and 2 copies of Lois Lane. And me and Alessandro have a joke where we call Lois Lane Lois Wayne. So I just wanted to get that out there just because it's an inside joke between us, so I hope he's watching this video, and I hope he appreciates what I did just now. But anyway, okay, so Alfred Pennyworth, he comes into play exhausted. You activate and return him to your hand, and you get to search your deck for a plot twist or an equipment card, reveal it, and put it in your hand. And you can only use it if you control another Gotham Knights character. Now, obviously, we don't run any equipments in this deck, but we do run a lot of plot twist cards. So, typically when I played a Gotham Knights Team Superman deck, the card that I normally go for is the hookup. But there could also be other cards that you might want to go for. That depends on what cards are in your hand, what kind of strategy you're going for. But 9 times out of 10, that's the card that I normally go for. So that's kind of what Alfred does. And then Lois Lane, what she does is you may discard 2 cards rather than pay Lois Lane's recruit cost. Kind of a similar effect to the Aunt May Golden Oldie from the Spider-Man's deck profile I talked about. But what she does is when Lois Lane comes into play, you may search your deck for an Earth 2 character card or a card named Superman, reveal it, and put it to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. Just a good way to, search for cards that, Superman cards that you just need in your hand. And, the nice thing is if you on turn 5 and you don't have a 5-drop Superman, well, you can just discard 2 cards for her and play her for free, so then you can get the 5-drop Superman and go ahead and play him without using any resource points. So just kind of a good utility card for the deck and helps you search for Superman. Now moving with the 2-cost characters, we run 4 copies of Tim Drake, Robin, Titan, and Command. And you'll notice that he is the only 2-drop that we play in the deck. And Tim Drake's effect is whenever he attacks, you may reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a plot twist card, put it into your hand. So it's kind of like a pseudo rally effect. But sometimes, I don't really team attack with him often. He's really more of a Teen Titans card in the Teen Titans deck. But, sometimes you might, be able to team attack with him in, let's say, a 3-cost character, and you're able to hit a plot twist when you use his effect. So, and he's a 3/3 for a 2. It's pretty decent. That's why we run. He's the only 2-drop in the deck because, we have Alfred and Lois Lane that can help kind of. If you don't have him on turn 2, you can play either Alfred or Lois Lane in place of him. But yeah, 4 copies of him is all we really need. Continuing with the 3-cost characters, we have 4 Barbara Gordon Oracle Hacker Elite and 3 copies of Batman Problem Solver. Barbara Gordon Oracle has Concealed and she has Substitute, and she has an ability, free, draw a card, use only once per turn. Now, her stats may not be ideal for a 3-drop, she's a 3/3, but her effect definitely, to draw an extra card a turn could really, be really useful, because who doesn't like drawing cards in a deck? So that's why we run her. And then Batman Problem Solver is activate, discard a Gotham Knights character card, negate target effect from a non-ongoing plot twist, use only during the combat phase. Now, he's just a good card to negate plot twist. There's nothing much more to say about that. And, 5/4 is decent stats, so that's why we run him. Now, I bet you're thinking, why do I put 4 costs, question mark, question mark, question mark? Well, it's funny you should look at this card right now, because you see that he has no recruit cost, so you would technically think he would be free to play, right? Well, unfortunately, he has an ability that the recruit, you have to pay 4 resource points. And he has Loyalty Reveal, so Loyalty Reveal is you have to have a Team Superman on the field, or you can reveal one for your hand to play him. But the reason why this card is probably one of the key cards of the deck is because he's a 7/7, obviously flight and range. But the fact that he has no cost means he can't be targeted by effects that, say, exhaust target character with cost 3 or less, like the 4-drop Spider-Man does. Because since he has no cost, he can't be targeted by those type of effects. And also, when he gets stunned, you take no stun damage too. So he's just a really good powerhouse card, and definitely, like I said, one of the key cards of the deck. And there's no reason to run less than 4 of him. He's just an amazing card. Okay, so moving on with 5-cost characters, we run 2 copies of Superman Man of Tomorrow, 1 copy of Superman Metropolis Marvel, and 1 copy of Wonder Woman Deflection Diva. Now, I also want to mention that you should really run about 3 or 4 copies of Metropolis Marvel. The only reason why we have 1 is because during the making of this deck, we were only able to get 1 at the time. Obviously, we were able to get more now because of, trades and stuff like that. But during the time that we made this deck, we were only able to do 1, so I just decided to keep it as is. So ideally, I know there should be more, but just for now, we're going to just keep it at 1. But okay, so continuing with these 5-cost characters, Superman Man of Tomorrow is Superman has invulnerability during your first attack and defense's turn. And invulnerability, when you get stunned, you don't take stun damage. So, it's not really that great if they attack another character instead, because you don't really get the effect. You really want them to attack him, or you want to attack with him first so you get that invulnerability ability. So he's not really that great. Metropolis Marvel is definitely a lot better than him, but if you're able to get 2 extra Metropolis Marvels, then you could just take these out and put those in instead. And speaking of Metropolis Marvel, he has the loyalty, so you have to have a Team Superman on the field to play him, and he gets +1/+1 for each opposing character. Very strong effect. Now, he is weak to cards like, what's that card? Only Human, which if you do, then you get a 8/8 vanilla 5-drop, which is pretty bad. But a lot of people in my play group don't really play Only Humans, so if you have he's kind of vulnerable to that. But the other good thing I want to mention too is if you're playing a multiplayer game, when you're playing with like 3 or more players, then this counts for all of your opposing characters. So he could be like a 15/15 by turn 5, depending on what you play. Because I know I played multiplayer several times in the past, and he's just gotten up to some ridiculous stats. Because if you play like if your opponents play a bunch of army characters, his stats just go up like crazy. But yeah, so that's Superman Metropolis Marvel. Now, Wonder Woman Deflection Diva has Cosmic, and Cosmic is when they come into play, they get a Cosmic counter on them, and when they get stunned, they lose the Cosmic counter. But whenever Wonder Woman defends, you may exhaust her. If you do, remove all defenders from this attack, and another target Team Superman character you control becomes a defender. So, if they try to attack her, for an example, you can exhaust her and, if you have her in, let's say, Metropolis Marvel out on the field, and they attack her, you can activate her and say, okay, Metropolis Marvel, you're attacking him now. So that's what that ability really does. So, yeah, just one copy of her, and she's got flight, obviously, and 9/9 is decent for a turn 5. But, so just one copy of her. Now, with our 6 cost characters, we run 2 copies of Batman Cape and Cowl. He has Concealed, optional, so he can come to play in the hidden or visible area. Opponents can't use a payment power if it has been used this turn, and you discard a Gotham Knights, negate a target payment effect, use only once per turn. Now, what a payment effect is anything that says pay attack, pay, 1 endurance or something like that. So a good example for this would be the 8-drop Sentry, for example. What has an ability, pay 1 attack, target character loses -1 attack this turn. So with this Batman out, not only can they use it only once, but you can discard a Gotham Knights character to negate that payment power. But you can only use it once per turn. So yeah, just a decent 6-drop, and he's 12/12, which is pretty decent stats for a 6-cost character. So that's why we run 2 copies of him. Moving on with our 7-cost characters, we run 2 copies of Superman, Deterrent Force. He has Loyalty and Cosmic. Activate target character can't attack this turn. So just really good if you don't have the initiative on turn 7 and you just need a way to kind of stall and get some utility out of him. But yeah, just decent 7-drop. That's pretty much to say about him. So yeah, 2 copies of him is all you really need for the deck. And for our big 8-cost characters, we run 1 copy of Kara Zor-El, Supergirl, Claire Connors. And she has Cosmic. Whenever Kara Zor-El team attacks or becomes team attack, you may stun target character that is not in combat. So I don't really use her for a team attack too often. The only time if I team attack is if I have a 1-cost or a 2-cost character out on the field. But if you have like a 6 and a 6-drop, a 7-drop, or her on the field, you don't want to typically waste a team attack with a 7-drop and an 8-drop to try to stun 2 characters, because you want to try to get as much damage in as you can. But there could be a time when you want to team attack and you want to stun like a hidden character that you can't hit. Or if they team attack into her, she can pretty much just stun a character on the field too. So it makes it harder for her to have your opponent team attack against her. So yeah, just 1 copy of it is all you really need for the deck. Now, I know that 9-cost characters are really not necessary in a deck, but I think my friend Alessandro just really wanted to play this card because he just really likes him. And the 9-drop Superman Bulletproof, which he just can't be stunned. Now, there's a similar card, an 8-drop Superman called Superman Blue Boy Scout, and he has kind of a similar effect, but he can't be stunned while ready. So you could, in theory, play that Superman Blue Boy Scout instead of him if you really wanted to, but I think this was just kind of some spice that my friend Alessandro wanted to put in his deck, just for funsies, pretty much. And yeah, just 1 copy of him is pretty much all you need, but it's not really necessary to run him if you don't want to. Okay, so now we come to the locations of the deck, and the locations that we use is only 4 copies of Cadmus Labs. It has the ability activate cards named Superman are not unique this turn. And then you can replace Cadmus Labs from your resource trail, and target Superman gets +1/+1 this attack. Now, you will notice that going through the character cards that we mentioned earlier, that we had multiple copies of Superman. Like we had the Last Son of Krypton, Metropolis Marvel, Man of Tomorrow, and the Deterrent Force, and the 9-drop Superman. So if you activate this, you make your Superman not unique for the turn, which means if you have for an example, the Last Son of Krypton on the field, and you have a Metropolis Marvel in your hand, you can activate this, and you can play the Metropolis Marvel on turn 5 without sacrificing your Last Son of Krypton. So that's why this card is just good for playing multiple copies of your Superman that you have in the deck. And, there could be a situation where you need an extra +1 attack or +1 defense. So the second ability also kind of helps with that. Plus, if you have another Cadmus Labs that, because you can only play one location at a time because they are unique as well. Face up, that is. And so you can just replace it to get an extra attack and defense, and then flip like another Cadmus Labs and use it if you wanted to. So also remember that the +1/+1 is for the attack, it's not for the turn. So you have to either attack one of their characters, or your opponent has to use one of their characters to attack one of yours. Alright, so moving on to the plot twist cards, we run, starting with our 1-cost plot twist, we run 3 copies of Bat Signal. And to play, exhaust the Gotham Knights character you control. You search your deck for a Gotham Knights character, reveal it, and put it in your hand. Just a good search card if you need, your Gotham Knights character cards. Like if you're on, if you want to get your 3-drop Batman and you have, let's say, the Tim Drake out on the field. Well, you could play this, exhaust the Tim Drake, so you can get your 3-drop Batman for the deck. So for the 2-cost plot twist, we run 3 copies of Bat Got Your Tongue and 3 copies of Scree. Bat Got Your Tongue is to play, exhaust the Gotham Knights character you control, negate target effect from a non-ongoing plot twist. So let's just say, your opponent is attacking with a character and they activate, let's just say, Savage Beatdown, right? Well, you can exhaust the Gotham Knights character and negate that Savage Beatdown that they play. So this is kind of like one of the key plot twist cards of Gotham Knights because, they're known for getting rid of, plot twists and negating stuff like that. So 3 copies of that. And then Scree, what this does is target character gets -2 defense while defending this turn and can be attacked as though it were visible. So really good against hitting character cards that you just can't hit or that you need to attack. So, it's just good for that. And plus they get -2 defense, so why not run this card in the deck? It's just good against, getting rid of hitting, or trying to attempt to stun hitting characters and hitting your opponent for some decent amount of damage. Okay, so moving on with the 3-cost plot twist cards, we have 2 copies of Best of the Best, 2 copies of Brains and Brawn, 4 copies of Soaring to New Heights, and 4 copies of The Hookup. And on another slide, we run 2 copies of At Their Finest, so I'll get to that after I talk about these cards. So Best of the Best. You may return a ready character you control named Batman or Superman to its owner's hand. If you do, target character can attack this turn. So this is really good if, let's say, you're on turn 6 and you have a 3-drop Batman, or your 3-drop Batman on the field, and you want to activate this, return your Batman to your hand so one of their characters can attack. Well, now you can play Batman, Cape, and Cowl so that you don't have to KO, your 3-drop Batman since you bounce them back to your hand with this effect. Same rule goes kind of for Superman if you don't have Cadmus Labs out in the field, but you don't want to really lose a card on the field. Bouncing it back to your hand is just as good as almost drawing a card in a sense. But yeah, that's Best of the Best. And Brains and Brawn, play if only you control Batman and Superman. So you have to control both of them together. So that's the key part in this sentence. Recover target stun character you control named Batman or Superman. So yeah, just, really good because let's say you have a stun Batman and your opponent attacks and you have a stun Superman. Well, playing this card, you can recover one of them and then you then get to not lose any characters because you get your 1 free recovery at the recovery phase. So that's Brains and Brawn. And the other thing there was something I was going to say about this card, but I don't remember what it was. I mean, it's a 3-cost, and yeah, I can't remember, so I'll just keep going on to the next card, which is Soaring to New Heights. Target Team Superman attacker you control gets +3 attack this attack and also gets +3 defense if you control Superman. So, again, it's just a good pump up card. You already get +3 attack, but if you control Superman, you get +3 defense as well. So that's Soaring to New Heights. And the Hookup is essentially the team up card that you need to team up Gotham Knights and Team Superman. But to play, choose 2 different affiliations among characters you control, ongoing, cross over those affiliations. Discard a Gotham Knights character card, draw a card, use only once per turn. So not only does it help team up your Gotham Knights with Team Superman and vice versa, but you have the ability to draw a card with this effect too. So here's a good example. Let's say you play, or you don't play, you activate the Alfred Pennyworth, you bounce him back to your hand, right? Well, you can flip up the hookup and discard that Alfred Pennyworth you just bounced back to your hand to pretty much just, draw a card. So it's a good way of cycling cards in your hand, and that's the hookup. And talking about the card I mentioned earlier, At Their Finest, we run 2 copies of. Play only if you have played no other plot twist this turn. So what this says is it has to be the first plot twist you play this turn. Characters you control named Batman or Superman get +2/+2 this turn. And yeah, just a really good card to, remember. Oh yeah, so I forgot to mention that it says Batman or Superman. So if you have them both on the field, they both get +2/+2. So, or if you have Cadmus Lab, you activate it and you play a Superman. So now you have, let's say for example, 2 Supermen, like the Last Son of Krypton, Metropolis Marvel, and let's say you have the 3-drop Batman out. Well, they all get +2/+2 for the turn, which could be pretty decent in certain, situations. But yeah, that's At Their Finest. And finishing up the plot twists, we move to the 4-cost plot twist cards, which we run 2 copies of for the Man Who Has Everything. What this card does is you search your deck for a Team Superman character card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. If it doesn't share a name with a character you control, discard a card. So if you have, you play this card, let's say on turn 5, and you have a Superman out, and for an example, you have the Superman Last Son of Krypton on the field, and you activate this, and you get, let's say, Metropolis Marvel again. I'll only say again because I mentioned them so many times in this video, but okay, so let's say you activate it, you get Metropolis Marvel into your hand. Now you don't have to discard a card because you have Last Son of Krypton on the field. So, yeah, just a good search card, and it's probably I would say that this is probably one of the best search cards in the game, because a lot of the search cards like Enemy and My Enemy, Mobilize, force you to discard a card, whereas this one, if you control the character, you don't have to discard a card. So it's essentially like a free search card that you can get any without discarding a card, but obviously you have to have the same character card. But yeah, that's for the Man Who Has Everything. And so yeah, that's pretty much the deck. And I mean, like I said before, we're gonna do another version of this deck because I have a different build than from my buddy Alessandro's build. But this is the deck that him and I usually play. He plays his this deck, and I usually play my Spider Friends deck, which I love Spider-Man so much that we always do like little grudge matches and see, who wins against, who's the best, Batman or Superman or Spider-Man, because he's a really big Superman fan, but I don't feel like Team Superman is really good by itself. I feel like they need to be teamed up with Gotham Knights to get a lot of utility and, things going on. So that's why I decided to make him the Gotham Knights and Team Superman deck, because, he likes Superman and Batman, but I thought this was the 2 teams is definitely probably one of the most consistent decks out there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Now, if I was going to make any changes to this deck, I would get more copies of Metropolis Marvel. But, we have gotten more Metropolis Marvels in the past, so be expecting another deck profile with updated, with more Metropolis Marvels. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for now. If you guys have any changes you'd like to make to the deck, please leave them in the comments below. And make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. And I guess that pretty much covers everything. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.